Good morning. Come on in, everyone. I'm Belinda, and I'm with Just Be Yoga, and this is our home yoga practice live. If you don't have a strap, maybe grab a towel or a belt of some sort or a scarf to be able to use. This week, our theme is binding and, things that help us pull things together. So whether you bring your hands behind your back and interlace your fingers, whether you grab your foot in various things, binds help us either identify how we bring things together, how we hold on too tight. It's a great way to use your physical asana to explore what's really going on and how we behave. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Just finished lighting a little bit of incense, and I've got some new flooring I'm really excited to play with you all today. So let's get comfortable in a seated space. Maybe review your yoga plan for this week and maybe review your notes from yesterday. If you're new, with our home yoga practice live, we've been developing a practice plan, kind of hoping to eliminate some of the barriers of how we practice at home, and maybe set ourselves up with a few tasks so that we don't feel so lost when we're kind of stuck on the empty mat and not know what comes next. So we set a plan, we set an amount of time to practice that plan, and then we observe what's going on, and we seek guidance on our plan. So whether you're reading certain books or manuals or texts, as well as seeking guidance from a teacher. I'm not saying it has to be me, but definitely seeking a teacher, knowing why and how why you're seeking that person, what it is that you admire about their practice, in how they're comporting themselves physically, in how they're comporting themselves in stress. Alrighty, let's find a comfortable way of sitting. I'm actually going to start today sitting with my back against the wall for a little added support. I'm going to choose to have my legs out in front of me. And starting our practice with a check-in. So let's all imagine that we are alone right now. And maybe you really truly are, but you don't feel like it, right? Because you've got this video as some guidance. But we'll spend this time and say, okay, now what? Well, why am I here? I'm here to connect. Connect with what? And feel free to let your inquiries, and that's what I call the questions that we're asking of ourselves, those inquiries, those pings, and just take them to another level. So I'm connecting with myself. I'm connecting with my physical self. And I start to just feel my physical self. I'm connecting with my emotional self. Connecting with my breath self. And that felt a little shallow. Connecting with my mental self. And that feels a little tired and quite on the judgy side of things today. My physical self is feeling maybe a little restless and needs a little bit more movement. So these are just some suggestions of the process of the check-in. And just sit with it. Don't look immediately to how to fix anything. Just, this is the state of my being at this moment. And fully absorb that. It's like being the good listener for your friend, to just sit with yourself and just listen. Not be your therapist. Don't sit and go, And why do you think that is? And then let's spend a few moments with a bit of acceptance of what it is we've checked in on. Send some gratitude to what's good. I'm whole, I'm healthy, relatively sane. I think I've got some good humor. I've got good community and friends and support. Some balance to that check-in as well. All right, I'm going to come away from the wall, finding a comfortable seated space. One hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. And just start with some abdominal breaths, feeling the breath and the body having a relationship with each other. Filling up, feeling my skin, my muscles respond. Letting my body invite the breath. Letting my breath seep into the body. Noticing the nature of their relationship. Is one fighting with the other, struggling? Is one craving the other? What would balance between the two feel like? And since binding is a part of our practice this week, we're going to practice the holding of breath. So we'll breathe in and hold the breath at the top and observe what's going on in our mind, our body, and our breath. How are they reacting? Exhale and hold. Now, if breath holding has created a stress in your life, if it triggers some fear, please don't do this. Just find your abdominal breath. Breathe in and hold if you're choosing to do that as a practice. Noticing what feels still and quiet and good, what starts to feel nervous. Exhale and hold. Notice if you're feeling like you need to be competitive. Are you needing more rules to be set for you? Or can you just accept that we're here to just feel this? And inhale. Exhale and natural breath. Relax your arms and just notice how you're feeling. What's the difference? Does something feel more free? Does something feel clearer? Are we maybe more anxious or nervous? How's the physical body feel? Our awareness of our belly and our chest, the front of the body. And now a space that we ended with yesterday are bandhas. Bandhas are energy locks. And so we're going to start with the lowest one, and it involves kind of a Kegel or sphincter hold. So maybe identify those muscles right now, and then see if you can engage and hold. And that's called Mula Bandha, or our root energy lock. And just notice, how does it make you feel? And give yourself a few adjectives about, does it make you feel sturdy in your whole body? Does it make you feel grippy? I'm going to make up words because sometimes we don't have precise language for sensation. And then release. Or had you had to grip and release, and let's re-engage. Is it a struggle to engage in holding our base energy, our connection to foundation and security? Do we feel insecure holding into this space? Are we gripping super tight? Or is it fairly easy? Could you vary how you're gripping and relax? And let's squeeze the Mula Bandha, and now your solar plexus, as though you're bracing for a punch in the gut, a light punch. And so let's see if we can hold both of those spaces. Can you breathe freely while you're doing so? And maybe you're feeling a little bit more solidity, kind of a coming together all the way from the root up to the middle of the rib cage or the lowest part of the rib cage. Does it feel super tight and constricting? Or does it feel kind of comforting, like we're being held together? Does it feel like a stranglehold? How much can you influence how that feels and hold and maintain it? What is the grip and the hold you have from within on yourself and around yourself? And relax. What does that do to our breath? All right, the last energy lock is we tuck the chin down, but we're lifting up through the back of the throat. And there's just a little tight restriction at the back of the throat. So let's see if we can bring the Mula Bandha, the Uddiyana Bandha, the solar plexus lock, and then the throat lock, containing and conducting our voice and our truth upward, and see if we can hold all of them. It's going to be hard, and you might have to let go and re-engage, let go and re-engage. Notice what other areas of the body start to bunch up. Like I'm feeling my shoulders start to tense, and I'm like, oh, do I need to bunch up there in order to contain and conduct my voice as well? Natural breath, engaging and re-engaging, and releasing. Maybe you're starting to notice some physical muscles along in the pelvis and the abdominal area gripping. Let's change the cross and see if we can do just a few more engagements of Mula Bandha. You choose whether your eyes are closed or open. And then Uddiyana Bandha, solar plexus. And then the throat, to see if we can do all three. Can we breathe, or do we have to hold our breath to focus on conducting energy, containing energy? And release. For me, I bring the kind of physical image, mental image of, and I'm really bad at plumbing language, so if people have better plumbing language, give it to me, please. But like a pipe, and then the pipe fitting, and then the pipe and the pipe fitting. And I see those energy locks as whatever those joiners are that help everything not spill out in between the pipes. And so when we're conducting that energy up with those bandhas, it's like, can I contain and conduct my energy so I'm not like bleh, and losing and leaking out all of the energy that we're conducting and vibrating and strengthening in our yoga practice. Then we get to conduct it and use it and conduct it toward our voice, conduct it toward our vision, conduct it toward our will. But if I don't have really good joint fittings, again, help me if my language is incorrect, then it's just going to spill out. And so I'm doing all of this amazing work every day on my practice and wondering like, well, why can't I sustain? Oh, I'm not practicing like really conducting that energy and not losing all of the juice in the middle. All right. If you're joining, let's come to hands and knees. Notice how we got here. Remember, our theme this week is going to be binding, joining together how we hold within, how we hold on. Notice how the body is accepting where we are. Anytime you're shifting and changing, go ahead and bring in another check-in. Checking in with the physical body, with the breath body, the mental body. Let's find a few cat and cows, just waking up the spine. We haven't really moved the spine a lot. We've moved from the inside. And maybe just notice how this movement is feeling on those bandha regions. And no, you cannot hold your bandhas while you're doing this flexion, right? Because conducting doesn't hold well. It locks things up so it doesn't allow for much fluid movement. But we can hold here and round the spine up. And yes, you could do your bandhas here and see, can I conduct? How does it help me? And then we could bow it down, releasing our bandhas. And now, with the tailbone lifting and the chest and the throat lifting, you can't do the throat lock. Oh, but practice. Say, oh, could I do the base lock, doing that sphincter hold or that Kegel Ooh, what do you feel in your pelvis and your abdomen here? And then with the chest open so much, could you do the solar plexus lock? I think I can feel the muscles trying, but because of how open we are, it's a little difficult. And then back and forth. So practice, play, and explore. Especially if there are areas where you go, well, I don't know if I'm doing it right, if I'm feeling what she's talking about. Never mind what I'm talking about. Can you just start to clear the lens of your awareness and go, oh, this is what I am feeling, and own that. All right, we'll find a nice neutral space and reach the left leg back and feel that left leg suspended and holding itself. Now, how about that Mula Bandha, that root energy lock? Does that help you maybe hold that leg with a little bit more sturdiness? Let the Mula Bandha go and feel that difference. How about the solar plexus lock now at the same time? Does that make your torso maybe feel a little bit more solid, a little less leaky? And then let's see about adding that right arm. Breath. Connecting in with our bandhas. Maybe releasing the bandhas, feel the difference, and engage them, and still breathe. Now let's bend the left leg. Breath. Reach that right arm back. Don't try to grab the leg. Just feel the reaching to try to find the connection. Feel the energy applied toward trying to connect. And then reach and extend and bring it down. I think sometimes we become so goal-oriented, like, oh, I need to get there, that we're not feeling the process. Let's come up to the top of the knees. Bring one fist width of space in between the inner thighs. Hands to the low back. Just a little bit of counter work. Now let those bandhas go. Remember, we're trying to see if we can find some movement in the body. Hips forward, chest up. Breath. Chest up, not back. Upward energy. Good. And then gently release. Notice how the spine is responding. Your hips are responding. When you're ready, a few cat and cow. Feel your entire spine, how much of it wants to move, how much can move, how is it making you feel to move? Can you feel areas of the neck and throat? Are there areas that want you to slow down and give them some TLC? Can you do that for yourself? Or do you feel like you need to keep up with me or some standard of how a yoga session is supposed to go? This is your session. This is your connection time. We'll reach that right leg back if you're joining. Maybe you want to stay with those cat and cows. How awesome for you to start to plug in and say, that's what I need at this moment, or I want to keep exploring. Haven't had enough of that. If you're extending, remember, we'll practice the bandhas. So your Mula Bandha down near that tailbone, getting that base energy lock. Then the Uddiyana Bandha, that solar plexus. Feel, let them go. See what happens. Engage them. See what happens. What's making you more fatigued? Where in the body are you feeling fatigue? What practice are we letting go of? Is it the breath that goes first? Is it the concentration of the mind? And then if you want to add on the left arm, that adds a lot more challenge. How much extension, directing and conducting our energy? How about seeing if those bandhas can help us conduct? Breath in, breath out, check in. What's the body saying? How is it responding? Is it starting to get fatigued, or is it just working? Can we tell the difference between fatigue and, yep, I'm just feeling my body working? Play with those bandhas again. Check in. Don't just take my word for it when I say that's called an energy lock. Well, let's feel that. Is it locking anything? Is it helping you not spill your juice out? Bend that right leg. Feel that. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you need to bring your limbs down and reapproach. Reaching that left arm back. Feel the reaching, don't grab it. Where did my weight shift? My weight had shifted back in my left leg, so now I brought it back evenly, and my core feels a whole different thing going on. Bandhas. And lengthen one more time. Intention, direct, concentrate, and we'll bring the left hand down, right knee down. Coming up to standing on these knees. Maybe shake those wrists out. I definitely feel the need for that. Hands to the low back. Hips forward. Upward energy. Feeling that. Relax those bandhas. Let the energy come up. Now maybe play with your Mula Bandha, your root energy lock. You got to let the solar plexus go so that it can lift up and open, so that it can bend. And come on back up to center. Take a moment. We'll sit back on these heels if that's comfortable to do. You could have the feet flat behind you, or you could have the toes tucked. I want mine flat behind. Now let's engage in our bandhas. Upward lift through the back of the neck. Eyes can be open or closed. Find your breath. And then just use this moment to just notice your entire body. What feels strained? What feels free? What is going on? Notice your breath. Check in on how you are at this phase of your practice, your asana, physical practice today. Deliberately bringing some of our dharana, our single-minded focus, and some of the svadhyaya, self-study of the second limb of yoga into our moment. We're taking this pause, reflect, look, study, not judge. It's just, this is what has happened. This is what is difficult. This is where my mind goes when things are difficult. This is how I respond when I'm confused. This is how I respond when I'm bored and I click off of this video and go, meh, I don't like this, just be yoga. All right, you can stay back here or you can stand up on the knees. Just depends on what's going on in your own feet. I'm going to stay here in this kind of modified hero. And you might want to have your strap nearby. Mine, talk about binding, made its own little knot. I'm going to take my left hand up and pat myself on the back. And first, just bring the right hand up and find the left elbow. All right, so this coming together is already a bind. Shoulder blades rooting down the spine. Engage your Mula Bandha. Build from the root up. Maybe see about, that Uddiyana Bandha. Can you feel a squeeze around your solar plexus? Feel the breath. Maybe tuck the chin down and see if you can draw upward through the back of the neck and throat. How is this bind making you feel free or stuck? Now, keep patting yourself on the back with the left hand, and we'll take the right arm out. Some of you can bend the right elbow up and see about bringing those fingertips together. If not, you could drop the strap back with the left hand. And bring the hands together, holding the strap. See how closely you can bring them together, or you're setting the strap aside and seeing if the hands can come together. All right? So find the bind that works for you. Notice as you're seeking the bind, how the mind is behaving. Are you frantically forcing something to happen? Are you grabbing and flailing about it? If you're not able to get the hands together, what's going on in your mind? What is the perception? How are you treating yourself at this moment? Let this be a part of your journey in your yoga. We are connecting. We are unifying what is truly going on in our mind, our emotions, our breath, our bodies, our spirits. and see if they can find a happy medium of existence that's more peaceful and at ease within acceptance. We can put effort to things, but how do we apply that effort? Now, what's going on physically in the bind? What's going on in the joint, in the shoulder, in the underside of that left upper arm? What's even going on your shins and your knees and your thighs? Maybe engage your bandhas, maybe not. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm applying myself in so many directions right now, I can't focus. And let focus be a space of just observing, not forcing, not judging, not fixing. And notice, allow, invite ease. Can you relax in between the shoulder blades? What's starting to tighten? What's starting to soften? And gently release. Feel the releasing as energy itself, because it is. And maybe start some shoulder rotations. But always try, before jumping into the restorative space, sit in the pause. Feel the body energetically releasing on its own, the dissipation of whatever was building in the spaces that you were in. Change direction. Remember, we're working on developing our practice at home, our personal practice. What's going on in my shoulders? How does my mind affect what's going on in how I move, in my goals, in how I actually activate? All right, we'll do another camel. Hands to the low back. Maybe the hands can come to your hamstrings. Remember, a little bit of space in between your inner thighs. Feel yourselves giving yourselves the time for deliberately placing the body where it needs to be. And maybe you feel like, well, I want to get to the pose. Well, getting to the pose, how did we get there? Okay. Intention is an action unto itself. How much energy are we applying into our attention, binding, connecting, bringing together? When you're ready, hips forward, rib cage up, breath in, breath out. Observe the breath. Observe the body. Maybe practice some bandhas. Ask yourself, well, was she right? Can I not engage in my Uddiyana Bandha, my solar plexus, while I'm here? Try it. Does it feel like it's blocking something, or is it helping something flow? You figure it out. Don't just take my word for it, unless I'm really strongly saying, don't do this or you're going to break something, because I might really be serious on that. And bring yourselves back up. And we'll get ready for the other side. Remember, if you wanted to sit back on the heels, great. You wanted to tuck the toes, great. Feel out what's best for you in your body. We're going to do the other side, and I know that this shoulder is a little upset with me when I bring it into this direction, so I'm going to definitely use a strap on this side. Now, maybe some folks are looking at this and going, well, aren't you supposed to be trying to have balance in the body? And shouldn't you be wanting to like open that shoulder up? First of all, I could start with the strap, and then if the shoulder starts to feel better, I might increase a little bit of that tension, taking away the strap, seeking the finger to finger. But balance is also about my mindset, and that my mindset is that I'm treating the whole body with loving kindness and accepting the limitations on each side. And this is a really old injury, and I would like to preserve its function for the duration of my stay on the planet. And if I'm overly aggressive with it, I might actually add to its deterioration. And so that is a bit of the balance that I may be seeking. So I'm going to bend this right elbow back behind. Remember, we're going to find this elbow first. Notice, did you run right off for the bind first? And just start to notice like various tendencies. That's what I love about making notes and observing in my practice, because maybe if I didn't take those notes, I wouldn't notice like 4 days in a row, I wrote down that I rush ahead. That's a thing. It's something I do. And that's the yoga practice, and your application of a plan and dedicating yourself to it helped you gain awareness about that, shedding light. Now let's just breathe and feel. Let the mind get a little quiet here, or at least observe how busy it is. Are you wishing to notice your bandhas? What's the part that's asking for the greatest attention? Is it the body? Is it the breath? Is it the mind? And go with what's asking for that attention. And inquire, what is going on? Is there an anxiety? Is there a busy energy? Is it just fiery? Start somewhere. All right, now maybe we'll release that left arm, taking it out to the side, and then reaching up. Oh, I've got that strap. Ooh. And that opening of this left shoulder back and out is really asking for this patience. And so I'm going to give that to myself. Savoring a little of the simplicity in this bind. What's coming together? What's holding on too tightly, maybe in the mind or in the physical body or in the breath? Do I know how to let a free space come into the spine? Or is that just foreign and confusing? And gently release or stay. Start to notice where you are. And I want to be mindful to really model just letting that be. Let it be. Observe what's going on in the fingertips, in the shoulders themselves, the front part of the shoulder, the side, deep on the underside, in the spine, in the neck, in the legs. What's going on? What's changing? What's amplifying? What's decreasing? Now, if you need or want, explore moving. What did that bind space free up and amplify your awareness of? Awaken. Even in how you move. All right, let's come to our child's pose. Knees wide. I'm going to move my strap out of the way. Or knees together. Sinking the hips back. Maybe practice a few bandhas here. Connect to the breath, connect to the body. Bring your mind and your focus onto your mat. Notice if the mind has a desire to be distracted and leave the mat. Even if it's on the mat, if it's distracted, what is it doing? And let's find a few sun salutations and maybe play, and I'll guide through a few times of how you might want to play with engaging your bandhas as we go. We'll breathe in and come forward to hands and knees. Maybe engage your Mula Bandha here and release. Maybe engage it and hold, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, down dog. Could you keep it engaged, or did it have to get re-engaged once you got into the down dog? Hold where we are. And then if you're used to usually pedaling, pedal. Changing up your patterns and holding in some of those spaces that's different. It's a great way to bring in that mentality of the bind. I'm going to sit and hold and observe. Sit and hold and observe. Let's go ahead and do that Mula Bandha. Press the heels down, lift the tailbone, push down and forward through the arms. Breath in. Now you got to release that bandha, or don't believe me, and we're going to come up to the top of the mat, and you notice whether you could have kept that bandha or not as you made that movement. Half flat back breath in. Forward fold, letting that upper body go, maybe softening the knees, rounding the spine up to standing. Feel your bandhas here. Does it help you conduct and grow taller? Mula bandha, Uddiyana bandha, so we're squeezing, finding a retention of the muscles of the solar plexus. I'm using sphincter as something that we all understand, maybe kind of pursing that, holding that area, holding this area, chin down, lifting through the back of the neck. Try not to strain. Do you know an even balance that helps give you solidity and sturdiness without you being super rigid? We'll breathe in and lift. Can you hold those bandhas? Do you have to let them go? Forward fold, release. Feel how you're gripping yourself from the inside out. Half flat back. We'll plant the palms, step back to your version of a plank. All right, what bandhas? Feel, and lower. Can you keep it engaged as you lower? Breath in, lift the chest, maybe try Mula Bandha. Go ahead, it's not my recommendation to try Uddiyana Bandha, but if you want to, go ahead. You could do the throat lock, chin down, energy up through the back of the neck. Can you breathe while you do that? Tuck the toes, lift the hips, down dog. Breath in, breath out. Change something right now about how you do the down dog. Maybe just lean more into one arm. It can be subtle. It can be playful. And just hold. And observe what responds. Maybe different areas of the body start to feel a different weight, a different pressure. Learn. Connect to your physicality and learn. It will start to tell you what feels balanced. It will let you know what's a little excessive or what's not enough. Breath in. Let's look forward and travel our feet up toward the top of our mat. Half flat back, forward fold, bending the knees, sinking the butt back, lifting the chest chair. Now, some of you already know I like to say, so feet can be together, knees together, or feet are apart, knees are apart. If the feet are apart, try not to let the knees collapse in together. A mirror is a really great tool to have at home, and let it not be permanent. I would have it move away rather than becoming kind of fixated on looking at yourself. Just use it occasionally for some alignment, and then practice without the mirror, thinking that, okay, I think I know where my alignment is. And maybe just occasionally, once a week, once a month, just use a mirror and say, I didn't know. And that helps you key in on what's the difference between your perception and what's actually going on, if you can even trust your outward vision. Choose here. You could always choose to add a bind here, whether it's your eagle arms or a bear hug, or finding the clasp behind. You could even do the one we just did. Do you want to feel a little bit more amplification? Remember, binding amplifies something. Now, we're already in some intensity in this chair. Maybe some of you have already come up and come back down and said, I don't know how long Belinda's going to be talking today in this chair. Play with that Mula Bandha. What does that do? What are we aware of in the abs down near the pelvis? Uddiyana Bandha. Is that helping you conduct your fire? Ventilate that fire a little bit? You could add in the Jaladhara Bandha, chin down, up through the back of the neck. Feel yourself as an engine conducting its own energy. Forward fold and do this pose. Top of the head seeking the floor. Legs engaged. Maybe your hands are on the floor. Maybe they're coming behind the calves.
Don't let the forward fold just be a release from your practice. Are you still mentally, intentionally in your practice? Do your check-in. Do your inquiries. Notice what feels stable, what doesn't. Maybe do your bandhas. Half flat back. We'll step the left foot back foot flat. Aim the left toes to the front left corner of your mat. Bend the right knee over your right heel or ankle, and we'll bring ourselves up for warrior one. Right hip is back, left hip forward. Once you're stable and steady, go ahead and involve that Mula Bandha squeeze. Notice what you notice about the muscles in your thighs and your hips as you do so. Can you encourage the body to sink down and then engage that bandha? And how does it make you feel in regards to your steadiness, your intention of grounding and rooting? Now the Uddiyana Bandha, find the lift in the chest and engage that. Can you feel it giving you a little bit more intent of rooting and rising? And then Jaladhara, chin down, up through the back of the neck, lift. Re-engage those bandhas if they let go. Notice what's starting to feel difficult about, wow, I just can't hold that, or oops, I forgot that, or I don't want to do that. It's okay if you're like, I don't want to do that. It sounds weird. That's perfectly fine. But we're also building awareness of the muscles and the organs inside of us and the role that they play in our existence in this physical body house. Do we only want to know the outside, the parts that we can see? Do we trust that we can conjure and bring a little bit of intention and control into the inside? Be in that back leg. How is energy changing in you right now? Is it getting hotter? We've been here for a little bit. What's going on in your ankles, your feet, your calves, your left calf versus your right calf? Inside of a knee, underside of a knee. How about under the ribs? Inside of your organs? Are you growing tall through the back of the neck? What's your face doing? And we'll bring the hands down. Step the left foot up. Let's do the forward fold. Intentional. Your hands, again, can be where they need to be. So when I bring those arms behind my calves, that's a bind. Using that to help pull me more, gathering together, holding in. Top of the head to the floor, not face to your legs. How is this helping? Or is it creating a trigger? Is it creating a strain, a fear? Does this amplify any kind of claustrophobia, fear of closed-in spaces? And what will we do about it? Would we give ourselves the freedom to let that go, maybe to loosen it up, or come out entirely? I just thought, yeah, we don't want to weaponize binding. Definitely don't want to weaponize our yoga practice, but let's not weaponize binding. And I know that I have been guilty of that in the past, in grabbing certain areas of the body, forcing areas to stretch into places that they weren't ready for. And I'll step the right leg back. And then ultimately that journey, that lesson is meant to help me. Well, I can use it to help me, grow emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Aim the right toes to the front right corner of the mat, and we'll bring ourselves up for warrior one. Left hip back, right hip forward. Now, I know a lot of times, at least I've been thinking about this a lot lately, that, some people might be like, man, she does the same poses all the time. Number one, there aren't really that many poses. Just like we are finite beings. We're bipedal mammals that, we don't have that many options. Also, I try to make things accessible. All right. So I'm not going to sit here and show like some of the postures that every single body can't do. All right. And if that's a space that you want to explore and you feel like you're there, you probably already know that. You know how to go and seek that. This is intended to be, how do I make my practice at home? How do I make it my own? What is it that I'm to be practicing? And then for me, that's all about all 8 limbs of yoga. Let's feel those hips, left hip back, right hip forward. Feel an even balance of energy. Be present in those feet. Bandhas, bandhas, bandhas. Do your check-in physically. It's a lot of terrain. Breath-wise, a lot of terrain. Maybe you apply those bandhas and just start to observe now, what is going on? What's the part that's starting to scream the most? What do I tend to do all of the time? How am I meeting myself and greeting myself right now? I love to use getting in poses for a bit of time and then just cycling through the yamas and the niyamas. Ahimsa, am I being non-harmful to myself right now? Or am I actually being aggressive somewhere? Am I being mean? Am I being unkind? Satya, truthfulness. Asteya, am I robbing myself of some opportunity? Am I robbing you guys of some opportunity? So I gotta work on that. Seeing in, growing tall, all the bandhas. Maybe not. And say, okay, I can do this for a little bit longer. Or maybe you've already come out. Celebration. That's you. And then maybe reapproach, or maybe you're waiting, maybe you're doing something else. This is your time for your connection. All I can do is just share what's going on for me, sharing my practice with you. If that resonates today for you, awesome. Non-hoarding and moderation for the rest of those yamas. And then in the second limb, santosha, contentment, tapas, devotion or discipline, saucha, purity. Do I have a pure intention right now? I'm always trying to check in on my ego when I'm here with y'all. Svadhyaya, self-study. I am studying this right hip flexor for show right here. And then Ishvara Pranidhana, can I surrender to something greater than myself? Hands down. Let's step back to plank and observe what is going on. Do we feel sturdy? Do we feel balanced? Do we find an ease? Are you playing with those bandhas? Where are you? How is the weight being distributed physically? How is the energy being distributed emotionally? What's the voice in your head telling you right now? And lower it down. Let's lift for cobra. Keep the hips down, elbows bent. And child's pose. Maybe you turn the palms up. Maybe you keep them down. Feel your heart beating. Feel your breath. Be present in your earth suit. And we'll bring ourselves up to a seated space.
being present in the earth suit and all of that awareness that I'm always talking about, and that awareness muscle that eventually we're getting in touch with. In some terms, you might hear the term Purusha. Some terms you might hear the term Atman. But the witnesser, not the thing that's being witnessed, but the witnesser, that which is doing the witnessing. And there's different schools that say, it's separate from the ego, separate from the id. But we're developing all of this awareness of, I am separate from this body, and yet I am connected to this body. And ultimately, who is that I? All right, let's point and flex. Feel the hips. Feel the whole body. Feel the back side of the body, the underside of the skin that's touching the mat. Put some intention in your spine. Occupy your body with intention. And then see about the bandhas here. How hard is it to engage in that mula bandha down in this zone when we're this wide apart? Or does it amplify our awareness? Is it harder to hold there? It's hard to hold and contain with our arms apart, right? As though we were holding two cliff sides in order to not fall. We got to really pull it together, right? I love that the rings in male gymnastics, just a huge demonstration of pulling it together from within, from that center line. That's that same space here, okay? And then here, helping pull that all together. We call that the core, but we can call that Uddiyana Bandha in our yoga language. Just bandhas, bandha at the lowest end, middle end, and then the throat lock. See if you can engage it and hold it. What do we feel of the gripping on the inside, like the muscles that are hugging the organs? Can we still grow tall in that? Or are we gripping ourselves? Are we that super tight? And it takes practice. All right. And let's release the bandhas. Breathe in. Exhale over to one side. Now, if this arm is tired, you could just bring it down by your hip. So feel the spine lengthening up and over this leg. Rotating the chest open a little bit. You can have your gaze down. Now engage your Mula Bandha. See if the Uddiyana Bandha, the solar plexus lock, wants to go or not. Can you breathe here? Can you find a mentally quiet space here? And gently bringing ourselves up. Feel the change. Just feel what's transitioning, what's still changing in your muscular energy, in your bone structure energy, even in your skin right now. Do you still feel remnants of that side bend? Let's go ahead and engage the bandhas again. Engage, engage, engage. Squeeze the thighs, push them into the floor. Live in this body right now with intention of conducting energy, conducting directions. Good. Now relax the bandhas, relax the legs, and we'll find the other side. Coming up and over. Ooh. I'm going to keep my arm lengthened over here, but if that's bothering you, go ahead and bring it down. Are you aware? And remember too what I said near the beginning of practice. Try to make it a habit to occasionally change it up just because you always do things a different way. Me bringing my hand here doesn't always have to be an indication of something is wrong or I'm protecting myself. It can also just be a choice. For me to protect myself from monotony. Feel the body. What's agreeing with the movement? What's locking up? Now see about adding the bandhas, what changes.
How do the bandhas help? How are the bandhas impeding the flow of movement, the flow of energy, the flow in our mind? What's changing right now? And are you letting the change happen? Letting that ease start to seep in? Or are we fully engaged in the fight, in what's difficult, in what's hard? And we'll gradually, slowly, mindfully bring ourselves back up. Just feel your breath. My right thigh is releasing some energy that I didn't even know it had been clenching. And the left thigh was fine. So it's really fascinating. I didn't even know, I wasn't aware, but I can feel the releasing of it. All right, let's go ahead and, for some of us, go ahead and get a strap. If you feel as though you can find a clasp on the toes or the heels or ankles, go ahead. Upavishta Konasana. Konasana, we said yesterday, was angle pose, but we did Baddha Konasana when we bring the feet together and the knees are open. So no matter what, it's an open hip space, but here it's going to also stretch the insides of the inner calf, the inside of the knee, and the spine has nowhere to hide. So Upavishta Konasana. If you need to get the strap onto the feet, of course, you might need to invest in a longer strap. Maybe your towel or your scarf doesn't work if you don't have a strap. This is an 8-foot strap. I'm a 5-foot tall person. So if you need longer, and I would say pretty much if you're getting close to 6 feet tall, go ahead and get a 10-foot strap. Don't even play around with an 8-footer for the various things that you might need. And they make them even taller and longer. For me, that's a whole bunch of excess material. So if you're holding with a strap, go ahead and bring your hands as close to the feet as possible. So I'm inching my hands there so that my arms are fully extended. And the legs are fully extended. Flex the toes. Push the backs of the legs down. Now do the same thing if you've got a clasp around the toes, pulling the chest up and back. Whoa. And I can feel the stretching going on the inner upper arm. Shoulder blades back, chest up, pushing the backs of the legs down. So we're all in the space of holding that bind and seeing how that bind is making us aware of a whole bunch more intensity. But we get to spend some time now and become familiar with that intensity. I'm going to stay with the strap because I've got more to demo with the strap. If you've got the foot, great. Breath. Are we finding our fullest ease and steadiness in our breath? Or is something being sacrificed right now? Don't worry about the bandhas. Let's just be in all of this intensity. How do you untighten something? You can have the bind and let the bind take the pressure. You don't have to apply yourself so much. Can we lean into the connection? Or do we fight into it? What is going on? Breath in, lift the chest, elbows flare out to the side. Pull, stop when the body says stop, and observe what's going on. All right, now I'm going to switch to the foot, pulling forward. Keep pressing the backs of the legs down. Now you're all going to have different comfort zones in your intensity. Don't burn yourself up. Continue to find ease, and when you're losing the ease, either in the breath, in your mind, anything in your mind that's going, whoa, stop, come up and out. Anything in the body that's going, whoa, stop, come up and out. Anything in your breath that's going, whoa, stop, come up and out. Do not let your yoga practice, where we're coming to connect to our inner being and our inner seeing and our outer being and our outer seeing, don't make that a contentious relationship. Don't make it one of dominion. We're not here to dominate. We're not here to prove. We're here to connect and learn. Like, whoa, that area of my body was screaming. First of all, haven't even ever said hello to that area of my body. Hello. And go, oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to hurt you. Not, oh, you shouldn't have felt that pain, right? We get to start to notice, ooh,
Well, maybe I don't have the best inner voice. All right. Feel free to find that a few more times later today or maybe after this, but we're going to get ready to close. So I'm just going to bring my legs in together. Certainly, just due to time, you can do more. We could have done more reclining. Um, I know that sometimes, at least I'm aware, that people might be popping in and out of this experience. If they are, number one, I'm grateful if you are. But that you might be like, well, wait, that wasn't complete. She did that all wrong. We didn't have the reclinings. We didn't have the restoratives at the end. We didn't have, she did it all wrong. She don't know what she's doing. All right, fine. If that's what you want to think about me, cool. My goal here is to try to give instruction across all 8 limbs and then task you with practicing that. It is legal to do a yoga practice without Shavasana. Just saying. There's no yoga police going to come and beat you up. Do I believe in Shavasana? Yes, I do. It is a posture that we need to practice. It is the most difficult space sometimes because there's nowhere to hide from that inner mind chatter marathon that's going on up there. So my intention is to just share ways to develop your practice plan. If there was anything that we were in posture-wise today, breath-wise today, energy lock-wise today that you went, whoa, I should probably do more of that. Stay with that. Write that down. Make that a practice plan for next week and just stay with this for this week. And next week, go do that on your own. Pop back in a week or two and go, hey, I tried this thing out. Hey, I learned this about myself. Now what? I would love for us to just continue to develop this along those kinds of lines. Yoga is not a fitness experiment. It isn't an exercise. It's not a Jane Fonda jump around kind of thing. It is a holistic practice of 8 branches for us to connect a little deeper to what is actually going on. And I need this physical body to be as healthy as it can, to carry my mind and help me go and do awesome things out in the world. How do I do those awesome things in the world? Hopefully I'm doing them with some honesty, some non-harming, some non-stealing, some moderation, some non-hoarding, some purity, some dedication, some self-study, some contentment, and some surrender. Let's do a single Om if you wish. Nice deep breath. Hands to the heart center. If you wish, or you can keep your hands where you want them. You could do a different mudra rather than the Anjali mudra. Mana eva manushanayam karanam bandha mokshayoho. If you feel bound or stuck, you are bound to be stuck. And if you feel free, you are already free. That's my interpretation of that piece of Sanskrit. Namaste. Go forth and do good things. I'm Belinda with Just Be Yoga, and this has been our home yoga practice live today about binding and our bandhas, all right? Baddha means bound. Bandha is an energy lock. Please do start to play around with your bandhas. Notice, are you holding one unintentionally throughout your day? Are you unable to hold any 1, 2, or 3 for any duration? And how do you apply yourself to them? And how will it help you comport in your physical self, your breath self, and ultimately in your mental, emotional, spiritual self? We've been a donation-based yoga community outreach for 10 years. We've done amazing work and partnerships with the Lansing School District, with various correctional places, Ingham County Health Department, the community mental health. So your work, your support of us helps us be able to continue to do so at low cost or no cost. PayPal.me/justbeyoga. If you're interested in specific or customized programming or a special presentation for your group, go to justbeyoga.com and click book me. All right, everyone. It has been my deep pleasure to be able to share yoga with you all today. I will stick around if you have any questions about practice, about bandhas, about hey Claudia, about anything. I do hope that you all are developing and growing in your understanding of your yoga. I hope that I have been able to give in some way that has a bearing on that journey that you're taking. And as I said, guidance is a part of like that last part of the plan. Check out other people, and it doesn't have to be one flavor for you to find value. And there are some valuable, wonderful teachers, whether they're here in the Lansing area or in the nation. This virtual experience has really opened things up, and so I hope that people are able to explore and dabble and hear voices, and sometimes things click just because you hear them said to you in a different way. All right, namaste.